Well, hello out there in internet land. My name is Dr. Ben Bellarado. I'm the laboratory director here at Crow Canyon Archaeological Center. And I'm really excited tonight to bring you this week's webinar, which is featuring Loren Aragon, the fashion designer and multimedia artist. But before we get started with Loren's presentation, I want to talk to you a little bit about our webinar series and how you can enhance your viewing experience. So I'd like to start by acknowledging that Crow Canyon Archaeological Center acknowledges the Pueblo, the Ute, Paiute, the Dene or Navajo, and the Hickory Apache people on whose traditional homeland this institution sits and upon which we work and reside. Our mission-related work would not be possible without Indigenous people in the past, the present, and the future. And we respectfully recognize and honor ancestral and descendant Indigenous communities for their contributions to all humankind. Now, Crow Canyon Archaeological Center is really grateful to all Indigenous people and supports the preservation and protection of cultural traditions, ancestral connections, and sacred lands. Now, at Crow Canyon, our mission is to empower present and future generations by making the human past both accessible and relevant through archaeological research, experiential education, and American Indian knowledge. And you can learn more about our mission and what we do here at Crow Canyon by tuning into our website at crowcanyon.org. And it'll cover all of our research, education, Native American outreach, and other types of programs that we're involved with. So check it out. As soon as our campus reopens, we invite you to come and check us out and work with us here down in Southwest Colorado, just outside of Cortez, Colorado. And this is a picture of our beautiful campus, just in front of just kind of north of the Sleeping Ute Mountain, which is right on the Ute Mountain Ute Reservation. So I know over the last 2 years, a lot of us, I should say, have become really familiar with the Zoom video conferencing program. It's really kind of everyday life for a lot of people, but in case you haven't had the opportunity to see a webinar or to work with Zoom, I want to give you a couple tips to enhance your viewing experience and help enhance what Loren's going to be talking with us about. So the first thing is you can move the talking heads. And so at least in my setup for Zoom and most people's, it usually starts in the upper right, you have a series of little boxes where you can see a picture of me, a picture of Loren, the Ute Mountain Ute tribal seal for Becky Hammond and Taylor Hasbrook, and you can. But anyway, if those boxes are in your way, you can actually take your cursor and you can click on those and drag and move them around so they don't cover up the screen as much, or you can reconfigure it in different ways. We also encourage you to ask questions, and somewhere on your screen you should see this little box that has chat, raise your hand, Q&A, and live transcript. And so we invite you to ask your questions in this Q&A area, and that will load all your questions up, and then Taylor Hasbrook, our webinar guru, and I will be going through the questions, trying to lump similar ones, and at the end of the presentation, we'll go ahead and ask as many of those as we can of Loren, and so we'll try to get to a bunch of those without keeping him or any of you too long. If you're having difficulties with viewing this presentation, you can also head over to our live stream of the talk on our Facebook page at crowcanyon.org/Facebook. And really, it's just like a 2-second delay or so. So it's just about real time. You can even put some questions in there, and we have a way to get those as well. So check it out. There's a couple different ways. And then after Loren's talk, if you want to, check it out again and relive this exciting experience, or look at some of our other presentations from the past, you can go to our YouTube channel. That's crowcanyon.org/YouTube, and check those out. We invite you to like and subscribe, and that will help us unlock other functions that will help enhance your viewing experience that much more. In the next couple of weeks, we have additional webinars coming up. So next week, we have a great presentation on Thursday, April 28th, called The Sacredness of Practicing Ancestral Pueblo Agriculture and Adapting to Modern Changes with Reina Bentea. And like I said, that'll be next Thursday, April 28th at 4 p.m. And then the following week on May 5th, also at 4 p.m., we have Lunar Twins, Cahokia's Emerald Acropolis and Chaco's Chimney Rock in the 11th century with Dr. Tim Pacatat. And that also should be really exciting. So please check those out. So now I want to switch to the topic of our webinar for this week. We have Loren Aragon, fashion designer and multimedia artist. And I want to tell you a little bit about Loren before I turn it over to him. So Loren Aragon is a fashion designer from Acoma, Pueblo in New Mexico, and the CEO of ACONAV. Aragon's introduction to the arts at an early age maintained a connection to the Acoma culture through his academic and professional career as a mechanical engineer. And living outside his community led to a number of new experiences, as it allowed Aragon to observe a necessity to preserve the culture of his people and inspire future artistic generations. Loren's work is the result of a combination of artistic vision and technological discipline, and the application of traditional and modern ideas has allowed Aragon to discover an avenue to express his artistic talents while preserving culture through fashion design. Now, ACONAV has become a leading native fashion brand that celebrates the strength and empowerment of women worldwide. And today, the culturally fueled designs of Aragon continue to gain recognition, creating an awareness to the growing popularity of native fashion. And I want to say, just as a personal aside, I didn't realize until I'd signed up for this webinar to moderate it that I actually purchased several of Loren's masks during the pandemic, the height of it, and I'm really excited to have one today to show to you guys. And I'm sure he'll be discussing many more of his incredible designs. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Loren. Thank you very much for coming.
All right, thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. We start off with saying, that was my traditional salutation in Karis, with my introduction of myself, followed by my tribal identity and a friendly hello. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining myself and everyone here. And I'm really happy to be here and share kind of my experience and my fashion journey and talk a little bit about cultural preservation and what it means to me and how it's expressed through my work as a fashion designer. So I'm going to share my screen here and let you in on my presentation. And is the embodiment of cultural elegance, and really want to speak to, again, what my designs do as far as preserving culture and showcasing where I'm from and making a statement as far as telling people, making people aware of our existence, our continuing existence as Native Americans, and especially as Pueblo people in the Southwest. Things from illustration to jewelry and to fashion design, and we'll get a little bit more into that. So this is kind of a run through of everything about me. Kind of I am from the Acoma Pueblo, which is here in New Mexico, one of the 19 pueblos, the oldest continually inhabited, one of the oldest continually inhabited civilizations in the United States. I attained back in 2004. I worked as an engineer through Phoenix, Arizona area for about 13 plus years, doing a lot more mechanical design. So working a lot with computer computer aided design and getting my hands dirty as far as creating things to make people safe. And also try to do art on the side. But in 2009, I founded ACONAV as a greeting card company. And that, along with my partner, we worked on greeting cards for a couple of years and presented them in different shows all across the nation, mostly in the Southwest. In 2016 was when I really founded ACONAV as a fashion brand. Some other in New Mexico, where I had a fellowship for the summer, and I was really able to advance my work as a fashion designer. So really happy to have that in my back pocket. And in 2018, I ventured into the Phoenix Fashion Week program, which is a program dedicated not only to just the presentation of fashion and in showcasing the ever-growing industry of fashion in the Southwest, but also a challenge as far as growing your business and really learning the business of fashion, in which I became Couture Designer of the Year in 2018. It's a picture of me just a few years ago. My signature, which you'll see in a lot of my work, hand-drawn artistic work, and also my insignia, which you see in my jewelry and a lot of my apparel. I like to say I have had a pretty fashionable journey, and I like to say that I was a part-time engineer, but a lifetime artist. As I had mentioned, I founded ACONAV in 2009, and ACONAV is actually a cohesion of cultural names between myself and my partner. So Acoma and Navajo, that became ACONAV. And as I mentioned, we started as a greeting card company and did a lot of greeting cards by hand. And also with my expertise in digital art, I was able to generate more digitally graphically designed cards. And that progressed for over the years, and we continue to do it here and there. Especially during the holidays. And under the name of ACONAV, I really started venturing more and more into the fine arts. It was also in 2009 that I came across or visited the Santa Fe Indian Market for the very first time, which I had not in the years previous, and was really excited to see the advancement of Native American art as far as how culture was embedded into a lot of more modern art and art genres, and wanted to be a part of that somehow. So really took it upon myself to get more involved in the arts and see how I might be able to infuse my technical background as an engineer into the art that I wanted to do. So along with greeting card making, I started doing more of my illustration, which I had always done as a kid. My mother was my teacher at a very young age, as far as just introducing me to the arts and getting me involved in different genres, most especially drawing. I love drawing. The pencil is still my weapon of choice when I get into art. And these are some of the examples of some most recent art I did with pen and ink, which was an advancement from pencil and color pencil, watercolor. You name it, I've probably had my hand in it. And I think part of how my art has been molded has been from my technical background. So a lot of the things you see are really hard edged and really crisp edged. So those were, and straight lines, that sort of thing have really been, or solid lines have really been a thing in my work. So as an example of some of my illustrations, next was gourd art. I really wanted to get back into the pottery art that our Acoma people are mostly known for. And I've had grandmothers and aunts and even my mother who had her hand in pottery making, and really wanted to get back into that somehow, but with my schedule as an engineer, just was not able to get into that like I wanted to. It's a very laborious task to get the clay, get your slips, get the minerals to make the paints, and the firing process, which is also pretty laboring task. So I chose other mediums, and I was introduced to gourds, which was an abundant source in Arizona, which is where I was residing after school and had worked around for a couple of years. And these are just some examples of the pieces that I generated. I'm a huge penguin fan. Obviously, there's a little guy there swimming, which also won some awards in some of the art markets, and other pieces that just, again, I wanted to express my own style of pottery art on different mediums, and this was one of the outlets. So all these designs are burned, and they incorporate some metalwork, which basically I started doing when I was doing jewelry. So the byproduct of a lot of the woodwork and gourd work that I was doing became jewelry pieces. So here you can see kind of earlier pieces, and haven't really touched on jewelry in quite a while, and still have pieces that I'm working on, and hopefully we'll relaunch that to be more inclusive in the fashion design that I do, and to kind of complete looks as I generate them. So really miss it too, because it touched on a lot of my technological background, and I was able to work with metals like I used to as an engineer. Along with being an engineer came kind of as a byproduct as well as graphic design. Did a lot of work on computers, so I was always looking at things graphically, and figured out for myself really what I could do with just two-dimensional work and make them look 3D, do different things with them. A lot of that, again, was work that I did into card making, a movie poster there in the middle, kind of showing the extent of shading and lighting, and then again just being able to create graphics for my brand and my design work as a designer. So all of this really kind of came together, came to a point at some time in my life, and was what helped me become a fashion designer, I like to say. And a lot of that was because of the need to preserve culture. My grandfather was always heavy to telling me to figure out ways to preserve our culture, to share it, to be able to educate younger generations. And fashion design was one way I really wanted to do that. My mother and my aunt had been seamstresses for most of their lives, and I followed it, but I really didn't see myself doing any kind of sewing, just because I thought sewing and doing that kind of thing was the girly thing to do. So I kind of passed off on it, but came full circle to discover that, this would be really cool to preserve it as a kind of a family tradition, and make it have some kind of meaning behind it, really. And I looked to my culture for that. I looked really deep into where I come from. It kind of helped that I was outside of my community, and being able to look back into just how rich our culture was and what was all there. So looking at the Acoma Pueblo, Ago, or Hago as we call it, the name actually means a place prepared. So Acoma was considered the place that was prepared for our people to live and reside in, provided everything for us so that we can continue to live there through the worst of times or the best of times. And again, Acoma is known to be one of the oldest continually inhabited civilization in North America. Our greatest tradition is pottery art, and push that outside the reservation and have made it known worldwide. So we're a heavy matrilineal society, so we believe a lot into the empowerment of women, and just really look to women as our future. And it's something that I feel that my grandfather lives through, and it's kind of an honoring to him as well. So I like to say that my designs are culturally fueled. And by that means that I draw inspiration from a lot of our pottery artwork. here are some examples from a museum here in New Mexico that one of which is my cousin's, is the parrot design work there. And the geometric patterns are really what speak to me. And it's accumulation of different things, and mostly interpretations of life is the way I like to think about it. Even the vessel itself is an interpretation of life. And to me, I think of pottery as being a womanly figure, the shape of the womb. And it carries life, it carries water, which is what the vessels are mostly known for, or seeds, things that will generate life. So the design work on them is always something I loved looking at as a kid, and kind of making up my own stories, and wondering, I wonder what whoever designed this was thinking. I wonder what that story was behind all these designs, and how are they generated? How are they so precise? How are they so clean and crisp? And I like to say that our pottery art is the fine china of Pueblo art, Pueblo pottery, and a lot of people will kind of agree to that. It's always a nice thin-walled pot and very detailed as far as with the fine line designs, and just the ornate design work that's used throughout. And also what I wanted to preserve was women empowerment. Again, my grandfather, my grandmother, a lot of my grandparents have really kind of educated me in who we are, where we come from, what we believe in. And a lot of that goes back to matrilineal strength. Everything comes from the mother. We give back to her. We honor her. We're always looking to women for our strength. They are a big role in our society. And that's just something that always has stood with me, and I've always wanted to carry on, move forward. Again, something my grandfather would have been proud of. So matrilineal, just a little to kind of tell you more about these ideas. Matrilineal culture of Acoma. The basic ideas here are: women are highly respected in our culture. They are our teachers, our nurturers, mothers and leaders, and ultimately our decision makers. And it's kind of been hidden that a lot of the things that we try to progress in our reservation are the voice of women, and what the mothers want for our society, for our culture. And it was always told to me that men should be the enforcers of those ideas and those decisions that they make that will better our people, that'll move us forward and progress us. And ultimately, the thing with matrilineal culture and honoring that is because of the ability to create life. That's the greatest thing we can look to in our women. They have that power. And on a global scale, being in this is just helping to create an awareness to what we believe in a matrilineal society. It is ultimately our understanding of the living world. We look to the earth as our mother. She's taking care of all of us here. It's generating an awareness to the respect of all living things, and for the positivity for all of humanity. And just, you'll see my mother in this picture there with the glasses. And along with all this has become an awakening. In just the last few years, there's been a great movement for women empowerment in general. It's been a growing awareness, and we've seen it. We've seen it with leaders in different industries, and even in our government. We've had Deb Haaland and other Native American, other women just in general getting into a lot more leadership roles. So there's a shift in that in society, and it's been great to see. And gaining respect, really kind of gaining that all back and showing that the equality that can happen. So the goal with all this knowledge and knowing what Acoma, who we are as Acoma people, is to create an awareness to lost ideas and beliefs in our still existing culture, especially to our own people, really showing future generations that we can look to our culture to progress us forward and help us drive certain things, especially in art. I like to say that I'm a catalyst, an advocate to women empowerment, and that my designs kind of show that or present that. And also a unity through the expression of positive ideas instilled in wearable art. And that's really what I want to showcase in my work, that there's meaning behind my work, as I had mentioned, and that there are stories to tell, just very similar to stories being told through our pottery art. So with all of that, I generated the name, or ACONAV became a fashion brand with all these ideas behind it. And under this brand, we like to say that we are cultural designs embodied in timeless elegance. And we want to express and share the idea of evoking empowerment, especially in women empowerment. And with that, I jumped right into it. I just wanted to see what I could do with what I had and the knowledge that I gained as far as being an artist, an engineer, and learning sewing from my mother and my aunt, again, like I said, who are seamstresses for most of their lives, and wanted to be able to capture that and have it become a family tradition. So examples of my work through the years, and some of which have made it to New York, the New York runways. I've been in different showcases all throughout the nation, New York, Arizona, Colorado, here in New Mexico, a lot of different shows in different places. Maine, I've been able to showcase a lot of my work on different stages. And back to the fashionable journey, and as I had mentioned, I joined Phoenix Fashion Week for the first time in 2016. And what really provoked me to join was that I attended the runway showcase in Arizona and Phoenix for the first time in 2014, and was really set back when I learned that there was no Native American representation on this runway, and just really shocked. Is with in our big backyard, I just could not understand how a Native American fashion brand was not on this runway and able to present work more authentically. So I was really happy to say that I was one of 2 Native American fashion brands in that year to be part of this. And I had no prior experience to the business of fashion. So this was a great opportunity for me to learn the ins and outs of fashion, especially in the business side of things, and to help move and present my work a lot better to a greater audience, and build my brand. Really just kind of, I had nothing as far as just a name, and had all these ideas and didn't know how to express them. So it really helped me kind of focus and make ACONAV a brand with meaning behind it. And it's a competition. It's a boot camp, and it's in every sense of the word a boot camp. It's basically 4 years of design or 4 years of fashion business school condensed into 3 months. So this all happened through the summer. And the reward was you come out on top as designer of the year. And in that year, I finished second. It was really tight, and I was proud just to be able to showcase and be able to represent Native American fashion on this runway. And this is a shot of my final walkthrough, in which I had some ladies, young ladies from Acoma, be kind of my presenters in the end there, and kind of stand to showcase the inspiration behind the work with the pottery and also the attire that we wear traditionally. And I was invited back for a second run at the boot camp in 2017. So there's just the very next year. And again, great to be able to represent Native fashion. Was the only one this time to get back into it, and really was even more of a challenge, because I was up against some global designers who have been doing some really amazing work as well. And this time became Couture Designer of the Year. And it was it opened a lot of doorways for me. It really gave me some ground to stand on and be able to really throw my weight around in the fashion industry in the Southwest. So I was really happy with everything that came out from this. And with that, my design work was accepted back into the show. It has been accepted back into Phoenix Fashion Week for the upcoming years. I was presented an opportunity to work with Walt Disney World to create a one-of-a-kind dress, and the dress there in the middle is that design, which has been on display at the Epcot Center in Orlando, Florida, for the last couple of years, which will be coming up to its end here soon. Which the piece was inspired by a pottery that I had chosen from the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture vaults in Santa Fe, and the pottery itself and the dress sit side by side in a display, and has become the centerpiece to this exhibition, which is a great honor and so cool to see. And then people reached out to me wanting to know more about me, and were inspired by the things that were represented through my brand. Colleen Jennings Roggensack is a Tony Award voter, Arizona's only Tony Award voter, and she has ties to New York with the Tony Awards. She's the executive director at the Gamage in Arizona State University. The Disney dress was published on a lot of different magazines, and one of them was the Red Book, which made it into her offices. And that very next year, they had asked me to outfit her for the Tony Awards. So my designs have seen the red carpet, and which has been a great story to share, a great accomplishment, and just happy to have had that experience as well. And there are challenges to natives in general in the fashion industry. Right off the bat, just being Native American, we're heavily underrepresented and a lot of adversity. So being able to showcase is a huge opportunity to showcase on runways and things as such that are a lot of times showcasing misrepresented designs, Native American designs, appropriated designs. And that was one of my challenges to myself, was to be able to take back our stories and really be able to have every right to represent ourselves on the very same runways as the big names at Dior, Gucci, those brands and those type of brands, and have our own say in what we show. It's the other challenge is trying to design fashion for all women. And I learned this very quickly, that you just cannot appease everybody. And it's a little bit of a challenge to make that all happen. But as you grow, you can, and there's just no, you just have to find your path out there. Being a male designer of women's fashion has been a challenge for me. It's a welcoming challenge, but I'm happy that people see what I'm trying to present through my work. Acceptance into a lot of these fashion shows. Again, just trying to raise awareness that we're underrepresented, and we would love to have more representation on different levels. And then discovering supportive and non-supportive people. I think it comes with every industry, but you have to work around that, and you kind of have to have the thick skin when you get no's and things like that. But you got to stay persistent, and then just growth in general. It's been a challenge to find ways to grow and figure out how to move forward. So I'm gonna hit the play here, and you can kind of see presentations at Phoenix Fashion Week, showcases a lot of my work. This is actually the designs that were followed up to the award here. Everyone can see that. Our collection of the gold elegant magnification of fine art showcase that. lot of design work on the called applique. Working mostly in silks, plastic. That was a little taste of Phoenix Fashion Week, which I'm happy to be a part of and happy to be a part of, and also see that more and more Native American inclusion is happening at. So bravo to them. I like to say that ACONAV and myself are a representation of the future of Native fashion. And it's great to see the progression of Native American artists, especially in fashion, to kind of take back a lot of the things that that have been appropriated in the past, and to have our own voice to presenting on the runways. Some of the things in fashion is it's constant evolution. You really have to know have a direction and take it and figure out ways to keep people interested in you. And it really is true, like they say on the Project Runway show, one day you're in, one day you're out. You want to be in all the time. And it's really, it's been a great challenge to figure out ways to evolve and get people interested keep people interested in what you're doing. There's been a lot of networking and collaborations with the various people, mostly Native American models that I really try to get pushed it more and more into the industry. And some examples here with some Native models that I've worked with in New Mexico, and great young people that are ambitious in what they do and want to keep progressing their talents as well. New industry tools in the digital world, man, it's been crazy. And I'm happy to say my graphic design work has now reached into the handbags, an accessory that a lot of people can't do without, and has just taken off in the last year or so, when I first introduced them in December of 2020, actually. It's also expanded to masks. Like Ben had mentioned earlier, we jumped in on the opportunity to be able to present some fashionable mask art. And it was great to see that that's what a lot of people threw their support behind us for. And we were happy to help out a lot of organizations and other tribes that were heavily hit by the pandemic, and lend some assistance in protecting the people. As I mentioned, digital tools as far as being able to market. I think with everyone being behind closed doors for about year to 2 years, you really had to find ways to present yourself. And a lot of the things that had been happening were in the fashion industry were live streaming fashion shows, which were unattended and just broadcasted live on things like Facebook and YouTube, and which is great because it definitely helped to expand audiences and create more global awareness. So more people had access to seeing what was going on in the fashion world through digital broadcasting. So this is just one instance of a showcase that I had presented online, but also an advertisement utilizing things that I had learned in just the years of the pandemic, and putting those valuable tools to work to present something artistically and visual. And behind all that, I like to say that we are a leader in Native American fashion. It's great to see a rise in indigenous fashion all throughout the nation, and even in other continents as well, with indigenous tribes claiming their own designs and presenting their work on a lot of different runways. So as I near the end of my presentation, I just want to share a couple of things that have driven me, and hopefully people can take as advice to anyone who's interested in doing fashion design. One of the things as an engineer that I had always had trouble with was just doing things kind of doubting myself and then really trying things, but trying always to me meant that I was implying that I would fail. So I took a lesson from Master Yoda, and that's, in case you didn't know, I'm an engineer and I'm a geek. So I like to say that I've gone geek to chic as far as going from being a nerd engineer to doing fashionable things in fashion. So one of the things that inspired me from the Star Wars films was the quote by Yoda, which says, "Try not, do or do not. There is no try." So definitely do what you want to do, and don't just try it. Give it a shot. Figure out for yourself what's going to work. And if you fail, no big problem, no big deal. Get back at it. Figure out a way through it. That's the only way you learn. No doubt. Believe in yourself. Again, I doubted myself a lot and just never always stopped at just the idea of failing. You really just have to try it and believe in yourself to do it, and you'll find ways. Be persistent. There's, again, we fall, we fail, but the more we get up, the more we learn, and it's a strength you gain as you go along. And always look for the yes in the things you want to do. A lot of times we get shut off at the first mention of the word no. Find a different way. Find people that can help you is another big advice thing that I like to say. There's always somebody who wants to help, who wants to help you live out your passions and what you want to do. So again, I am Loren Aragon, CEO of ACONAV, and it's been a pleasure talking with you and sharing my journey in fashion. You can find everything that I work on, everything that I produce at aconav.com. Please check out the website and see a lot of my fashion design work, my most recent design work, the bags, everything that we work on, apparel. If you want to see the progression of my fashion designs, you can follow the hashtag Evoke Empowerment, which I try to include in a lot of my posts on throughout social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thank you so much to Crow Canyon for the opportunity to present today. And I hope you all learned something, and would appreciate any questions, or will welcome any questions you might have. So Ben, I'll go ahead and give it back to you, and we can get some questions answered.
So why don't you go ahead and unshare your screen real quick, and then
Okay.
if we need to reshare it, we can. Yeah, thanks so much. That was a great presentation. So interesting how you've come to this point. So yeah, so we do have a few questions, or a number of questions. So we'll try to get through those, and I know more of them are going to be popping in is the norm here. So let's see here. Gosh, so where do I start? There's well, yeah, so one question comes from, so as I'm just going to read it. So as a representative of matrilineal culture, do you design clothing for older women also? I mean, is that part of the fashion? What do you have to say, or what do you think?
Yeah, I like to in fashion with the branding, you really kind of have to have a target audience. And my designs, I try to keep versatile. So a lot of different age groups, body types can look and see what might work. I'm always open to custom design work as well. And everything, a lot of what you see is made to order as well, especially the couture designs. So if there's a design you like, maybe there's a feature that might not work for you, or you want to add something, I'm always happy to do that too. So really try to keep, again, be versatile, and it helps me to kind of get feedback on what people like and want to see more of.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So then that gets to the next question. Where's the best place to see your different products?
Yeah, so website is definitely the best place to see everything, aconav.com. It is getting restructured, but there's still a lot to see there. So click through all the links, you'll see fashions from the most recent design work pieces. And again, the bags have been a huge favorite. So that's really where the focus has been lately. But looking forward to getting into some new projects here soon.
Great.
Also,
Well, yeah.
also I should also mention that, yeah, we have our social media. If you search ACONAV on any of the main social outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you'll find us there.
Great. Well, yeah, definitely. We invite people to check those out. I was just on the website earlier today, ordering another mask because I figure hopefully there'll be a run on them after this. But yeah, you've got a lot of really exciting products on there. So what about so then I guess from a personal question, I saw dresses and handbags and those are amazing, but so as someone who identifies as male, what types of things might you have for me other than the masks?
Yeah. No, I have tried to cater to kind of a broader spectrum of an audience, and t-shirt designs have been a thing that's really where I started too with fashion. A friend of mine had started his own printing company, and I was happy to reconnect with him and have him do one of my first designs on t-shirts and apparel. So I still keep that alive. There's some stuff out there, but stay tuned. I'm actually looking to launch a brand that will be dedicated to menswear. I'm getting more and more inquiries for it. I think I've actually found a style that I like for myself. So I want to be able to produce some work and wear my designs myself.
Nice. So there was a question about or a couple questions about the models.
Yes.
So like for the clip you showed, are those models like people that you recruited, or are they just models that put on various types of things, or do you try to get native models, or I mean, just there were a couple of questions kind of geared towards that, the various aspects.
Okay. Yeah, well, again, I really try to do my best to be inclusive of more Native American representation, especially if it shows that are native based, and also where I have some freedom to bring my own models. It's really how I started out. I reached back into my community and drew out some young, brave souls that wanted to help me along. And a big ups and shout out to those gals and guys that helped me out in the very beginning. But it's kind of industry standard to have models audition. So I honestly can't. I try to have a say in being the best I can do is really encourage more Native American models to get into audition for a lot of the bigger shows so that we can have some more Native inclusion in the models there. All the models you saw on the runway showcase that I presented were not Native American. And I like to say my designs are meant for everybody. I know that it's kind of it's sometimes misinterpreted when people say native fashion, like, oh, I can't touch those because they're only for native people. It's really not true. My designs are meant for everybody. There are some designers that do work that way, but it's always good to ask and see. But a lot of our traditional regalia were things that we wear, that those are definitely meant for more cultural attire and for our people. But my designs, like I said, are inspired by those sort of things, those sort of elements from what we wear, because they have meaning behind it as well, as far as strength and matrilineal culture go. So I try to represent those in a more modern style that can be suited for anybody.
You just read my mind, because there was a question about that right here. Yeah, somebody asked, are they being offensive if they purchase and wear clothing items that are, that they want to use to support Native or other cultures? Right. Is that cultural appropriation, or how do you feel about that? I think you kind of got to that, but if you could speak.
Yeah. So yeah, Native, cultural appropriation is more of people taking designs from cultures and using them for their own benefit, using them for their own monetary benefit mostly. And it's great to ask, you know, what's, if it is or isn't. I'm always upfront with saying, you know, my design work for everybody. You're not appropriating anything. You're buying directly from the artist, and it's authentic. It ties to their culture directly, and it's very much appreciated if the people that purchase those things or wear those things say that. And you know, it helps us, again, it helps us create the awareness that we are creating more in fashion.
No, it's great. I'm really glad you brought up too that, you know, this money goes to Native artists. You know, when we're buying your products, we're not, you know, supporting somebody else and you're just the face. You know, and like you said, your mother and your business partner are actually making all of these things. So it's great that, you know, we can people can help support you by wearing your fashions. And like I said, I'm really glad because I love this mask, and I'm planning to get more of them. But so a question came up about your T-shirts, and they wanted you to talk to us about your T-shirt. Tell us about the design and such.
Yeah, so the latest design work I have is called the Revolve, and I'm actually wearing the white version, which is the not north. I already forget my directions. East, which represents east. There are 4 color combinations with the design work, and for me, Revolve is an evolution of self. As we revolve around the sun, we grow every year. We grow a layer of experience. There's trials and challenges that we overcome throughout life, and that's really what Revolve represents. And it's re-evolve, or it was really kind of the title that was given to it. And there's meaning to different designs every year. This is just the most recent one. I did have another small sampling of work that was called the Monsoon series, and this was an accumulation of different pottery art design work to create a cloud for a monsoon design that was asked of me to be designed for KJZZ out of Phoenix, Arizona, that had a monsoon series in Arizona, targeting different artists, and I was the fashion representative for that one. But the designs evolve every year, or I try to keep fresh every year. So something different will come out. There have been a lot of different series of design works, and this is probably the 5th series of designs that I've launched on apparel.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, there's a question. Let's see here. Oh, well, somebody just tried to order the Tularosa bag and it's out of stock. So what are you going to get more?
Okay, yeah. I know I had a lot of shows that came up, and we had depleted our stock. The series is going to continue for a little longer, so I will replenish that here soon. I was aware that we had run out of a couple things, so the Tularosa bag has been a hot item. It's a really cool design. I love it to myself. So
very cool. It's very cool for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and then so there was a question like, so where are the products made? You said you make them, but like also like the prints, like do you guys do those yourself, or how does that come about?
Yeah, the material, just as a history for what the life of a design, a lot of the materials are imported. There's just really kind of no way around that. But the places I get my design work printed are here in the States. Work with different companies from New York to LA, Midwest, people with printing capabilities, and all the design work is my own. I do all the digital work behind it. That's taken to the different printing places, which print the work for me on the fabric of my choosing, and all the sewing and everything is done in-house. Mostly, I would say 90% of everything that I do is in-house. There are some things like the t-shirts, which are just bought and then printed on. There's other things like bandanas and a couple accessories that are outsourced and printed for me and then sewn. But for the most part, all of the fashion you see, I'll say women's fashion is all sewn in-house, constructed, and again printed with designs that are my original work.
That's great. Wow, that's a lot to that, I'm sure. Yeah, because you have to both balance, like you said, the um, drawing on the skills and the materials you have, and your own background, but then also work within kind of the global society of how you get materials, these days.
Right.
No, that's great. So there's a question: do you plan on like expanding this business, and if so, how? Or if not, why not?
Absolutely. Like I said, I want to do more things. I want to discovering that couture, ready to wear, style, all these different genres of fashion. I really want to have a hand in somehow. So again, I think very, very soon, ACONAV is going to kind of develop into other branches of fashion. I had mentioned I want to get into menswear. I always thought for the longest time menswear was a little bit boring. You're not a lot you could do other than just change print on a lot of different styles. But I think I finally found inspiration to different styles of brands that I like, and I now have ideas of what I want to launch and present. So, and I've been getting asked a lot more about why not do a men's line, and there's changes in my life that have inspired other things too. So like I said, the handbags were a whole new thing. That's just, and it was always people asking, what can we get that in a handbag, or can that become some kind of accessory? So it's great to hear the feedback of people and then what they love and want to see too.
Right. No, that's great. Well, and then so one question, we're almost out of questions. I want to keep you too long. But so this person was talking about how they love your gourd work. But then the main question is, is there art in other parts of the world that gets your artistic juices flowing, or other types of genres or other cultures, I guess, that have influenced you that you want to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always grown up on rock and roll, so I'm a rock and roll soul. I gone into dark heavy metal stuff and science fiction. A lot of that is a heavy influence on my work. Again, just the detailing, the real sharp, crisp edges have always been a part of my work. I think Polynesian, Hawaiian design work, the tribal art of different places have always been inspirational to me. I have my own designers that I look up to. Virgil Ortiz, who's also a Native American potter out of the Coachella Pueblo, was one person I was introduced to early, and his work is just mind blowing. Like he was a huge inspiration to me. And Alexander McQueen, designer, his early works were phenomenal. Like I didn't know you could do that with fabric. I didn't know you could do these kind of things that were kind of like engineering feats if you look at it, and which what really inspired me to start thinking of fashion as a more structural kind of thing. And Guo Pei, just heavy into the Asian couture beadwork, which is again just very heavily detailed, that are things that I want to get into and learn how to do. There's but for the most part, it's just the pottery artwork and generating my own style, becoming unique. I think seeing Santa Fe Indian Market for the first time, it's to stand out in that crowd, man. You really have to be something different. That's what I strived to do, and I'm glad my design work was seen that way.
Wow, that's amazing. No, that's great. Well, yeah. So just one last question.
Sure.
So are there other Native American people in the fashion world that you've become acquainted with, or that you build on each other's work, or anything like that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, like I said, Virgil Ortiz, very early on, his family legacy has always been in pottery, but he's ventured into fashion, and he's been doing a whole lot of cool things as far as more like cosplay kind of work, which is very interesting, and has his own storyline behind it as far as like the future of native fashion and pottery. There's also Jamie Acoma, a designer out of California, and she's done some phenomenal work in beadwork and has set the pace for that. Bethany Yellowtail, who had her ties in high-end fashion and has been showcasing her works all throughout, and has kind of set the pace as far as being a real fashion designer in the fashion industry. Patricia Michaels, who was Project Runway's, was in the Project Runway series, and again set the bar there for getting more people aware of Native American fashion. And it grows. There's been a lot of new designers coming up, and again, really happy to see that there's more inclusion in the bigger runways with this, and seeing Native American fashion represented overseas in different shows, and even models and influencers that are stepping up and getting more Native fashion into films that can represent. So that's one of the things, and shameful plug here, we're generating a fashion show here on the 28th in Albuquerque as part of the Gathering Nations weekend, and we're venturing into a fashion film called Made for Her, which will feature my designs as a more higher level design work. We were inspired by several European films that showcase some fashion design work, and I fell upon a film crew that just is passionate about what they do, and they want to incorporate more of my work into some kind of fashion project. So very soon, and we'll be launching this, and hopefully getting traction. We want to get it into film festivals, and it's a whole new thing for me, man. It's really cool. I'm excited about it, and this fashion show coming up will be a fundraiser for us. So if you're on Instagram or Facebook, check it out. Look up Made for Her. That's the name. Will be the name of the film, and it's also kind of the title for our fashion show. And yeah, so hopefully that entices some of you.
And so you said that's the 28th, like, so April
28th,
28th?
yeah, coming up next
Okay.
week. So
Oh wow, so soon. Well,
Gathering Nations weekend, and it's been going at lightning pace, man. We had some trouble getting the pilot lit, but it now it's lit, man. We're going.
Oh, that's great. Wow. All right. Well, I'll have to try to check that out online. But well, great. Well, we're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us, Loren Aragon. It's been really great to talk to you, and it was an incredible presentation, and we hope to hear more about what you're doing in the future. Please come back sometime soon and tell us about all the exciting things. And it's great that, Native American folks in particular, can have you as kind of as a role model of how, this all of this can unfold. This is such an amazing story about how you've gotten to this point too. So again, thank you so much. Yeah, it's great. Do you have any last parting words for us?
No, I just want to again thank everyone for coming to the presentation. Thanks for setting this up, Crow Canyon. Thanks for the invitation to do this. Really appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Good to talk to you, Loren.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. See ya.
Taylor, thanks for everything.